Mm. All right. Mm. Let's do this here. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to start I'm gonna just start going through the charts. I'm gonna play some music and just start crushing through some stuff. So if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask. Wow, look at this squeeze. Holy shit. Crazy. Wow, what a short squeeze. Curious. Yeah, that was a short squeeze. Bunch of shorts just got stopped out. Look at that. Or liquidated. Huh. That was a very interesting move. Okay, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna put on some music. I'm gonna type this in here quick. I'm going to split this live stream up into like a couple different videos. So we're gonna have our live stream today. I'm gonna do probably another one tomorrow and also maybe Friday. Just because there's a lot going on right now. We're at a pretty interesting point in the charts. And I just want to kind of walk you through my mindset, but there's more analysis that I want to do here. But I don't want this live stream to be like 3 hours long, right? I want to kind of keep it under control a little bit. So there's a lot of positive delta in the market on BTC. It's 4.9 billion on Binance alone, and typically that amount is an amount that I would look for some degree of a reversal to happen. Okay. That said, when we hit this area here, we were at about 10 billion positive delta, right? So it was very much overextended, and that is also a lot of the reason why we saw this very quick and massive move to the downside, because there were so many long squeezes. So in times of these data releases, these events, just because we're at a point where normally, we would see some degree of, we would expect, I should say, some degree of a reversal at about 4.9 billion delta. That's not to say that at this point in time, maybe we could extend a little bit higher than we would expect, or that anyone would expect. Ignite that feeling of FOMO bullishness, right? And then kind of have that pullback where you get all those people that basically longed in this zone. They they get wrecked, right? So if I'm just like removing all sort of bias or ideas as I look at this chart and just simply say, okay, like what's going on? We have an ascending triangle forming, right? This can be a bullish pattern. So what we would expect is, a move up again and then to come back down and then up and then eventually for price to, break out, back test and get a push to the upside, right? That's sort of how you would expect something like this to play out. And invalidation would be is if, this lower trend line is lost, it was back tested, and then, instead we had some degree of continuation to the downside. Or so this is one thing we can keep an eye on, right? Is this ascending triangle. Okay. On the other hand, we are also in a sideways range. And what that looks like is a range basically from 15,800 to about 18K. So again, another thing you would then expect is you get to move to the upside of the range, and then you simply look to rotate back to the bottom of the range once again. And that has been my plan for some time. I never really thought or wanted to get a move fully to the upside of this. I'm just going to hide that. Something that like I've been, I'll just pull them up here. I have them grouped 2, 1. Okay. Yeah, so these were my 3 areas that I was interested in taking a trade. This one, I was interested in longing, and I wasn't overly eager here because I thought, oh gosh, maybe we get some kind of a move up, but I was really looking for a move all the way down. Instead, we did get this pretty massive move to the upside off of this low. I thought this was a pretty cheap low, in my opinion, and the reason why is because it didn't take out this low here. So instead, we have sort of these 2 equal lows. We have 2 equal lows here. We have 2 equal lows here. It's just I'm not typically a fan of that. To me, this is something that like I would expect to get taken out. That said, again, if we hold this triangle, then we can just simply continue to the upside. We had this really nice H4 order block here that has been holding as resistance. I'll go ahead and pull that up. Right here. and that goes up to about 17,512. Basically, the current candle that we're in right now is looking to, get a closure above it. Go ahead and hide this here. If this continues to hold as resistance, and also the bottom of this fair value gap here, this daily fair value gap, if we don't get like a daily 12, 6 hour, 4 hour, if we don't get some degree of a significant closure above this order block, then it's holding as resistance, right? So there's really no reason to get overly excited. Now, if we come up here and flip it to support, then it's possible we can look for some degree of continuation to the upside, right? So as of right now, that is holding as resistance. We have the 618 right above it, and also to fill this fair value gap. So at the very least, tomorrow, we're going to expect some degree of volatility, as per usual. So I would at the very least expect, a move up to here. I would not at all be surprised that we fill this fair value gap, if not before the meeting, or I'm sorry, before the data release tomorrow. If not before, especially during, at least some degree of a wick like this, and then, it's usual. It's some degree of a whipsaw, and then we'll range through the weekend, and then, price will make some degree of a decision on where it wants to go. So for me right now, we are at an area of resistance that I was interested in shorting. As shown, I had it marked out here, right? What I was originally thinking was that, and I had them in this order too: yellow, red, green, and that is holding true so far. I'm actually really happy to see this playing out. It's just that fundamentally, I'm pretty biased towards longs, and there's been quite a bit of buying power in here. And it makes me, here's the thing: if we get back up here and we break up above this, I don't think that we're going to come back down again. So this is a really key spot for me to keep an eye on coming up here. But right now, so here's my plan. So I don't really like to trade the data release, okay, especially when it's right at the end of the week. We basically have one more day, and then through the weekend we're just probably going to do a sideways range, and then it won't be until Monday or Tuesday next week that we actually, start to push in some direction, right? That we do see the actual move itself, right? So I'm just going to run through all of these ideas with you guys really quickly. Okay, so ascending triangle. All right, so we come up here. We could reject, come back down here, get some degree of a move up. And then here we would look for, the breakout, right? I would be very stunned if we simply came up here and broke out right away. I would be very surprised by that. I don't think that's, personally, I don't see that on the cards. Okay, the next thing is, we do actually reject off of this zone that I was sort of expecting some degree of a rejection from. And how would we know that is going to happen? That would be if this order block, and especially the 618 here, does hold as resistance. And then we lose, if you can see this blue line here, this is the value area high of this range, right? So this is the value area high of the range. We broke above the value area high, back tested it here for a massive pump. So this is bullish. Like I'm looking at this and I'm not seeing a whole lot of reason to be like, yeah, we're just going to immediately start dropping from here, right? So we get that, 4-hour close above this order block. Okay, then, let's contend with the 618 and the 66 and see where we go from there. If not, this is daily above here, and maybe pump into the data release tomorrow, like we did over here with the FOMC meeting. Okay, and then that, in my opinion, would give us more likely that we get this move up here which I would really consider some degree of a short because I really don't think we're just going to break through on a single go on it. I just don't. Could we shortly thereafter? Could we just come up here, and then do like sort of a handle and then come up? Yeah, absolutely, for sure. But I don't think it's just gonna rally straight through and go straight up, right? So I would look for something like that. If we do not get our rejection here in this zone, I would look up here in this area. And if we do reject, I'm going to be looking at this trend line again to trade the ascending triangle, basically, right? I'm going to be looking at this trend line as a very key spot to say, okay, can we get some degree of a long here, kind of in this zone, which is, about the 16,600, 16,800 zone, okay? And if it is lost, if we do see some degree of a move down, then we can go with our older play that we've been looking at, which is sort of this fake out of the low or a deviation here, right? It would be a deviation trade or get to the bottom of the range and make people think that we're going to go lower when in fact, we don't. So those are kind of all my setups right now. I fundamentally I wouldn't be surprised to see that data come back good tomorrow. Okay. And in the event that that does happen, it's pretty simple to say that, BTC is going to pump. And as I look at this chart, expecting that fundamentals to come back, I'm pretty let's go to this chart, it's cleaner. I'm pretty I have a hard time thinking and saying to myself that yeah, we're going to that we're not going to get a move higher, right? That we're not going to break out and get some significant move up. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of fundamental reasons as to why BTC shouldn't start really pumping and reclaim this range. So that's as I think about it, it's hard for me again to not be more bullish. But when I look at this chart, I see kind of all of these lows that have yet to be taken out. And when I see that, especially me being a range trader, I would expect to get a sweep like this and then have a move up. Right? So that is what I see. So I'm having a conflict here between fundamental and my technical. We do have, some degree of an ascending triangle here. We have this descending wedge. So there are some, bullish patterns and signals happening on the charts here. But I just looking at this too, I see a lot of reason to kind of get this sweep down. And this is really right now for me, the way that I'm feeling and the way that I'm looking at this is very reminiscent of when we were over here, where price simply kept pumping up and up and up, and it was a very aggressive move, right? Where we are seeing this pretty aggressive move to the upside with not really any pullback. And with this aggressive move to the upside, we are seeing bearish divergences, right? On a 4-hour, let's see, 6-hour, not on a 12-hour, but on a daily as well. So as long as this high isn't taken out, we have bearish divergence on a daily, on the 12-hour, and then locally here on a 6-hour, 4-hour, the 1-hour, right? So we are seeing a rally that is getting overextended. And it's with these data releases that for me, I just sort of expect some degree of irrationality to surround the event and to it basically to be focused on, liquidity grabs. So I'm actually not going to trade this out. I'm deciding to stay out of this, and I'm going to trade the aftermath because it seems so I feel like it could go anywhere, right? When I look at the delta, when I look at the RSI, when I look at where we are on the chart, it's saying delta it is very high. It's at a point where you would expect some degree of a reversal. Okay, we are at the range high, right? Which typically you would expect, again, some degree of a reversal, right? Range high here, you would expect to come back down at least to the mid range. That's how we trade a range. And then two, we're seeing the bearish divergences on the RSI as well. So that isn't to say that those things can't be pumped through. If you look at, if you look at some of this data during a bull market, what are you going to see is these numbers can get very overextended, and we can pump through bearish divergences, and a lot of these things don't necessarily matter. And that's not to say that this is a bull market or starting a bull market, but my point is that these things can be an indicator as to when to trade, but when it comes time for a trending market, that strategy will change, right? Because you would expect to move up, and sort of it becomes a trending market. We have to then reevaluate some of that data and how we choose to trade based off of it. Okay. So I hope this was informative. I know I'm not really ending this with like a here, take a trade here, here's a signal. More or less, I'm saying I'm personally not going to trade this, especially coming off of a long holiday. I'm going to wait to see what price does, and basically look to our range highs here to see what happens, and see if we do get this continuation to the upside, or if we do reject, if we play this ascending triangle, or if we play the sideways range here. My objective with this live stream today was just to show you everything that I'm looking at here, and what I'm taking into consideration, as we go into data release tomorrow, and especially into next week moving forward. So again, I'm going to, I know that I had some questions on LTC. Would I short here again? No, I wouldn't. Could we reject from there and get a move down? Yeah, absolutely. We have bearish divergences on several time frames, and it's in my opinion, it does look pretty like overextended, and I'm not, could we short this? Sure, but with everything going on right now and the data coming out and the amount of times that we've come up and tested this high now, I'm not as confident as I was here in that short, right? Getting some degree of a move down, or maybe even here because it was such a quick rejection. But, for now a third time, am I going to ladder into it again? No, probably not. I, again, here, I was pretty bummed out on this one that we didn't take the range low. And from that, I kind of figured to myself, I'm going to short, take profit here, range high, profit again, high, profit again, and trade it like a range until it breaks out. But with the volume coming in here and the fact that it's testing this for another time, like I'm not I'm not really interested in shorting this again. I kind of wanted to see how the rest of this week plays out. I was really expecting, like truthfully, what I really was hoping to see, and we're definitely not on that. This is not happening right now anymore. Was for this to be in ABC and then have a move down, and instead this has turned into a 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're seeing a 5, or this is still a 3. This is 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna see a 4 for then a 5. And we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. Look at the daily closes, look at this weekly's close, and I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. I am back in the office full time now, so I'll be trading every day and doing market updates all the time and all of that kind of stuff. So just give me some time to get back into the groove here. But yeah, this has been my edge doesn't seem to be on point here. So I'm not going to trade it, and I'm going to adjust to the possibility of a new trending market rather than a sideways range. Okay. But again, like going back to my original plan just on Litecoin here, God, these lows just look so ripe for the taking. Okay, like I guess like when I look at this, all of these lows just look like they should be taken out, and we should swing down, you know, but like at least to the mid range here. I would say at about like 64. That's what this looks like to me. And my a lot of my edge says that this is a great short and this is where we should look for lower. But again, given the data release tomorrow and the possibility of breaking out of these ranges, I mean, these are some, you know, really high time frame ranges that we're being put in here, and we could be in a situation like this where, you know, all of a sudden, okay, we do get that bigger move up out of this range, right? This could be one of those moments where we break out and we do get that parabolic move up significantly higher. Okay. So it's something to keep an eye on. We'll just have to, you know, monitor it, and I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. Again, I will do like a live stream or something on LTC tomorrow, or later today, more likely tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, and we'll keep you guys updated. But do, you know, have some stop loss and do, you know, be safe with this trade. Going into that data release tomorrow, especially pumping into it like we are right now. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Again, I'll be in the Discord all week, and we'll do more videos tomorrow.